Good afternoon, ladies. It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker. I've done this before. In the year 2006, I had the pleasure of introducing our speaker, and here it is again, right here, the same spot. Dr. Christine Lund is our special speaker today, and we thank her for coming. Do I remember anything about what I said in 2006? I haven't a clue. But I do know a few things that I want to share with you about Dr. Chris. I think I said a few of those years ago, but maybe not. Dr. Chris has a lovely mother who followed her from the West to Waterloo. And I met her when she joined our daily disciple group in St. Mark's. She's a lovely woman. Today, she is in extended care in Elmira, or St. Jacobs. Elmira. Dr. Chris Lund is special because she has 2 children that live out west, 2 adult daughters. She belongs to St. Mark's Church. That's special. She's an accomplished violinist who plays with the Community Symphony Orchestra. And let me think of some more things that I remember about Chris. They don't come to mind right now, so I'll call on my trusty paper to ask or to tell you about Dr. Chris Lund's educational background. She sent me this or I wouldn't know. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from the University of Calgary. She has a Master of Theology from the Lutheran School of Theology in Saskatoon. She was ordained in 1980 and served 2 parishes in Saskatchewan. She furthered her education at St. Stephen's College in Edmonton, where she was invited to oversee the master program in pastoral counseling. She completed her PhD in education in 2004. Today, we're noting her many accomplishments, and we wonder how her qualifications could have even been missed when they were looking for somebody to look after the seminary, Delta Leave Center. We're going to have to get these terms all settled before we have any inauguration celebrations. So we're pleased to welcome the Reverend Dr. Christine Lund, with a K, Scandinavian spelling, and Principal and Director of Spiritual Care in Psychotherapy at the program of Waterloo Lutheran Seminary. Dr. Chris.
Just one moment of panic, all my notes fell to the floor. Thank you very much for your warm welcome, Betty. I was beginning to wonder because she was saying things about me that I hadn't written on the piece of paper. But she got most of them accurate, so that's great. I'm very pleased to be able to talk with you about the Delton Glebe Center, already affectionately becoming known as the Glebe Center. As David says, it's one of the new initiatives that is happening at Waterloo Lutheran Seminary, and certainly there's many things happening at the seminary. Let me reiterate my gratefulness as well, as David noted, to the Lutheran Campus Ministry. The house that we are residing in now is 177 Albert Street, and it's a house that's owned by the Synod that Lutheran Campus Ministry has used for a number of years to house students, and we're very fortunate that they agreed to allow us to move in there and develop the Glebe Center. It's been a work in progress now since May 1st, and this morning all the plants are going in. So the picture you see on the screen is now out of date. It looks lovely, and I would invite you to drive by if you have a chance. It's on the corner of Seagram and Albert. Many of you, I know, knew Delton Glebe, and we're so happy that Verna's here today, and look forward to Verna's participation in the opening next Friday morning, the official opening of the Glebe Center. Delton was a visionary. Not only was he a visionary, he could embody a vision, and that isn't always the case with visionaries. Some people can think the ideas, but they can't get them on the ground. Delton could get them on the ground. And he and Arnie Cirilla were very significant people at the time of an important time in the life of the seminary around curriculum change, around integrating theory and practice, having ministry students go out into parishes to work, and the whole element of contextual education was begun during Delton's time. He was the principal dean at the seminary before Richard Crossman, but he was also a very beloved pastor, teacher, and community member. Delton did a lot of work in the community activity. And when I go around talking with people, which I have for the last 6 months about this center, Delton is still very well remembered, and people will often tell me about the important conversation they had with him, the Dying with Delton in class that they took from him, his work at Bereaved Families of Ontario. And so I'm so pleased that the Glebe family agreed that we could honor Delton in this way by naming the center after him. And it's not simply just to name it after him. It's a hope that the center will continue to embody a similar vision that Delton had, to work in the academy, but to also be well grounded in the community. And so that is so important for us. As well, Delton was very instrumental in the beginning of the pastoral counseling program in the late 60s at the seminary, which the name has morphed a few times in order to stay current with the field. And so now we have both an MA and a Doctor of Ministry in Spiritual Care and Psychotherapy. And as David noted, there's 84 students in the MA and probably another 20 in the Doctor of Ministry program. And that program has made significant impact in the field, both academically, as well as to the service that it's provided through chaplains, counselors, people in social service agencies, NGOs, etc., etc. So there's a big reach of that program into our community. And so I'm very happy that we can open this center officially on Friday, even though we are already open and starting to work a little, and that we can honor Delton's commitment to learning by doing, and his emphasis on the importance of building trusting relationships and to engage those who are in need in the community. So David, you can move to the next slide. David's working for me today, isn't that good? You know, you gotta get a little dig in when you can, right? I just wanted to draw your attention to the strategic plan that's at the seminary, and the particular part of the strategic plan that relates to the Glebe Center, and I'll just read it for you. Waterloo Lutheran Seminary envisions the creation of a teaching counseling center in collaboration with other partners within Laurier and potentially with the wider community. Such a center would be a place for supervised training of professionals in spiritual care and psychotherapy and providing services to the university, community, and public. So, the development of the Glebe Center has been a natural outgrowth of the seminary's strategic plan, and has been a collective or collaborative project. Certainly I have taken the lead on it, but I have not done that by myself. There's been significant support from the seminary administration, from David, from the staff, my colleagues at the seminary. May you go to the next slide? Thank you. This is just to say a little bit about the initial discussion partners. Around the development of the Glebe Center, the initial conversation partners were Nancy Riddell Bowers, who was here earlier, but had to leave because she's receiving an award this afternoon from the university for having taught 60 courses as a adjunct faculty in the Faculty of Social Work. And I'll say a little bit more about her participation in a moment. Idrissa Pandit is the head of Islamic Studies at Renison College, and also the director of Muslim Social Services, and has been a very significant discussion partner in the development of the Glebe Center as we move toward working in a multi-faith, multicultural manner. And so her guidance and expertise has been a very important part of our conversation. Alison Edgar Batoya used to be the Director of Counseling Services at Laurier. She's moved on to something else now. But again, she was a very important discussion partner with regards to how might the Glebe Center partner with university counseling services and in the larger arena of student wellness. I think you may have heard on the news on more than one occasion, student wellness is a significant issue on university campuses, and in particular student mental health. Counseling services at Laurier is fairly overwhelmed with the demand for counseling and other services, and so the conversation has been, how might the Glebe Center complement and supplement what they are already offering? And I have taken the lead in organizing and directing those conversations. So the mission and the mandate of the Delton Glebe Center is that it will be a place for holistic creative healing which pays particular attention to diversity and multi-faith issues as they pertain to the health and wellness of individuals, couples, families, and communities, with particular attention to children and adolescents. So the hope of the Glebe Center is not to replicate services that is already in the Waterloo region, but to enhance and supplement the services and to respond to known gaps in services. We will be offering counseling and preventative mental health programs on a sliding fee scale, and we are committed to network with other agencies and community groups. At the Glebe Center, we want to pay particular attention to diversity in its many forms, whether that be culture, faith, age, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, age, whether you live in an urban or rural setting, and in any other way exceptionality is lived out. So in particular ways, the Glebe Center wants to note those and to respond to those, and recognize that as people are needing to make meaning in their life as a result of difficult experiences, their context is very important to pay attention to. And so foundationally, that is a very important premise for the beginning of the Glebe Center. Many of our community agencies, though, I've spoken to resonate significantly with this and see a real need within our region to be able to respond from this perspective. And so we look forward to doing that. David? Through the course of the last 6 months, I've been working to develop some relationships or partnerships so that we can collaboratively offer services. One of the first ones was the Glebe Center entered into a partnership with Muslim Social Services of Kitchener-Waterloo. They've, for a number of years, been doing a number of things, offering programs to members of the Muslim community in Waterloo region. And they were feeling a need to have psychotherapy, counseling, psychoeducational opportunities for the Muslim community, as well as for other immigrant communities, because a lot of the programs that they don't run only for Muslims, they run for anyone who is in need. And they too have a very important commitment to not replicate services. For example, they do not run a Muslim food bank. Rather, they partner with the food banks in the region to provide food, halal food, and other particular nutritional needs for the Muslim community. So they seemed like a very good partner in the sense of their values, and their perspective on offering services in the community was quite similar. So Muslim Social Services has agreed to fund a Muslim counselor at the Glebe Center for 10 hours per week, and we do have one working now. And again, the Muslim counselor will not only seek Muslim clients, he will see other clients, but he will be there to help instruct us who aren't Muslim in what is religiously and culturally appropriate ways of responding to clients who come from other ethnicities and other religious contexts. So the Glebe Center will be a place where we can all learn more about how is it that we respond to diversity and work with people in a way that's helpful to them in their context. The second partnership that we're developing is with, as I said earlier, WLU Counseling Services. That actually has been brought into Laurier's student wellness committee. I've been invited to sit on their committee with a whole number of other representatives to look at the wider concept of student wellness and the role and the ways in which the Glebe Center can participate in that. So that's just beginning. And we will begin to explore that more fully. I've also had conversation with Peter Donahue, who is the head of the International Students at Laurier, and he's very excited about the possibility of developing some groups, in particular for international students. You can just imagine these students come from far away, not that uncommon to what Richard and Jennifer were singing about in their last song. They're very bright students. They come from an extremely different culture and context. They're dropped into Waterloo, and the transitions are phenomenal. And while they may be academically very gifted, oftentimes it's the social and the interpersonal challenges that can make life very difficult for them. And so we look forward to developing groups in conjunction with the International Student Association at Laurier. As well as I've been in conversation with the Aboriginal Student Centre and looking at ways we might work together. We will be having a placement student from the Aboriginal field of studies in the Master of Social Work program at Laurier start their practicum with us in January. Our students in our degree program start their practicum in September, but in social work in their second year they start in January. So I look forward to having an Aboriginal student be a resource again for all of us to learn more about what our Aboriginal students and also people in the community need in terms of the healing and change process. As well as we have developed some collaborating relationships with certifying bodies. The first one was the Canadian Association of Child and Play Therapy. They have agreed to allow the courses that we offer at the seminary to be used towards certification as a play therapist with the Canadian Association. And I anticipate we will be having people who are wanting to do hours of supervision working with children and adolescents at the Glebe Center, and Nancy will be looking after that. As well as students will be doing practicum hours at the Glebe Center in preparation for licensing with the new College of Psychotherapists, which is launching in the spring. And so that becomes a very important part of our students' educational preparation to become professional counselors. I've begun conversations with the Art Therapy Association. We will offer our first introduction to art therapy in spring term this year. And we're finding ways to work together so that our students can also work towards certification as art therapists. Music therapy at WLU is interested in finding ways to partner, and we probably will have a music therapy practicum student come next September. So again, the creative opportunities are bubbling all over the place, and it's actually very exciting to see the many ways we can find partnerships and collaborative ways to work with the resources that are around us. And I think this is all to a greater benefit to those living in our region. Okay. So let me introduce you to our staff. Frank Ripplinger is the only only person who works full-time now at the Glebe Center, and he functions as the administrator clinician. So he oversees the administration of the building, and I've been very grateful. He's only been there 2 weeks now, but it's lovely to have somebody there who can be there, like today when they're putting in the new front door and planting. They came a couple of days ago to figure out cleaning and security, and so he's a great help when it comes to overseeing the administrative duties of the center. But more than that, he's a very experienced clinician, so we're very fortunate to have Frank come on board. He brings 30 years experience of working with children's mental health who come with any form of exceptionality. And he is passionate to create well-being for children and families using a holistic approach. The Glebe Center will be offering mental health services for children as young as 3. And we are defining youth up to the age of 25, which may seem old for you, except that perhaps you've had the experience even in your own home or with your grandchildren. Children aren't launching quite as early as they used to, and so some of the developmental stages are prolonged. And so some of those transitions into adulthood are needing to be addressed well into the 20s now. And so when we talk about working with children and youth, we're looking at working up to 25. So I really look forward to Frank's ongoing work with us. He's been a wonderful, wonderful asset to our life. Okay, David. Nancy Riddell Bowers, I've mentioned already. She teaches in our MA and DMIN program in spiritual psychotherapy. She teaches 4 courses in child and adolescent play therapy. She's quite a significant leader in this field. She has certification with both the Canadian and American Association and is recognized as a continuing education provider with the American Association, which is something to have gotten. That's not an easy thing to have. And she will have a book coming out very shortly entitled Play and Family Therapy, a Collaborative Approach to Healing. And she's the editor of that book as well as a contributor to that. She will be off to an international play therapy conference in 2 weeks. She's been doing some research on play as it is understood in different areas of the world. So play as we understand it in Canada isn't necessarily play as it's understood in Morocco or Japan or Africa. And so she's been doing some research in terms of how play is understood. And again, as we have people coming from various parts of the world, when we're working with children therapeutically, we need to know how those families are understanding play and even how the child understands play, so that we can work with them in an appropriate manner. So Nancy will be supervising all the clinical work that happens with children and youth, with our students, with our contract staff, and we expect, we've already been asked from about 4 people who are professionals in the field who want to come and do what they call sort of an externship with us to enhance their skills with children and youth. So there's also been some contract counselors hired. Patricia Cummings and Aaron Smith are 2 of the ones you see on the screen now. Patricia Cummings is a graduate from our Doctor of Ministry degree a couple of years ago. And her area of expertise has been with working with university-age youth. She works part-time at counseling services at Laurier and is very interested in working with that group of individuals. And so brings some expertise with some of the developmental challenges, some of the particular challenges that students in university face with regard to pressure, anxiety and depression, body image, eating disorders, relationship issues, and so we look forward to her participation at the Glebe Center. Aaron Smith is a graduate from our MA program and has gone on to get further education in sex therapy, in emotional focus therapy with clients, with couples, and with working with aggression in men. And so he has quite the passion for working with both individuals, but also relational issues. And so we welcome Aaron with us as well. Next slide, please. Hailing Huang is a graduate of our MA program, and she is a Chinese person person, and is particularly interested in working with Chinese immigrants, whether that's first, second, or third generation, and particularly looking at the challenges of people coming from an Eastern culture integrating into a Western culture. So what does that mean for couple relationships? What does that mean for parenting? What does that mean for young people growing up who are becoming more westernized than their parents, and the intergenerational challenges that can occur as a result of that? She began this past Saturday a program called Bridging East and West, a 2-hour continuing education program that will be offered on the third Saturday of every month for the next 5 months. And the first one was entitled Listening So Your Children Will Talk. And so she offered this program in Chinese. There was 15 people who came on a rainy, cold Saturday. So I think that's a very good beginning. And the next one we have Mike Chow from St. Mary's coming to talk about what's it like if you have a family member who's chronically ill and in an institution. And again, for Chinese people to understand and to know what the resources are for them when they're facing these different kind of situations. So Hailing as well is interested in working with international students, not only at the university, but for some students who come already in high school. And we're developing ways to make some links with the public schools where there are international students. I'm in conversation with a Korean man to become a contract counselor as well, looking at ways of connecting with the Korean community to offer, again, culturally and religiously relevant services for them. Okay, thanks. This year we have 4 students. All of them are in our MA program. Jillian Inkstetter and Corinne Stehauer are 2 students. Jillian brings significant experience before her degree of working with families at risk, and in particularly young parents whose children haven't necessarily been apprehended yet, but who need some support so that they won't be. So by next Friday for the opening, we'll have on pay-per-view the listing of the groups that we will be offering. And one of them will be for young parents with children at risk. And it will be a parenting program to help them learn some skills and also find some support for their parenting of young children. Corinne Stehauer, before coming to the seminary, participated in the L'Arche community, and so is very interested in working with adults with developmental challenges. And so she's developing a group to work with caregivers of adults with developmental disabilities. If you've been listening to the news lately, you'll have heard that that age group of people have lost their government funding. So if you have a child who has disabilities and was receiving funding, once they turn 18, the funding is no longer there. This is causing a lot of stress for these families, and so she's looking at using a particular orientation called Photo Voice to create a support group for these parents who have adult children with a variety of kinds of disabilities, and we'll be looking at a photo exhibition in January in the chapel. So you can look forward to getting notification about that. Next slide. Abu Tariq and Grace Howe are 2 other students within our MA program. Abu Tariq is a Muslim from Bangladesh, and he's been a very interesting participant in our degree program, and it's been a very positive learning experience for all of us as we learn a little bit more about what it means to be Muslim in Canada and elsewhere in the world, and as he engages the program at the seminary. He's a very reflective and thoughtful person. Abu is going to work with clients, but he's also looking at developing some groups. He's done some work in the area of domestic violence, creating educational opportunities for those within the Muslim community and also in the broader immigrant community. Marital and parenting relationships are different in other countries, and there are different understandings about that, and so it's important to have educational opportunities for people coming to Canada with regards to what is appropriate relational behavior, what is appropriate parenting behavior. He's also going to offer a time for Muslim students on campus to simply come and talk about what's on their mind. What are the pressures they're facing? Every time there's an incident in the news that involves a Muslim, Muslim students feel targeted, feel focused on, feel like they're under, a glass. Everybody's watching them. And where is there a safe place for them simply to come and talk about their experience and have somebody listen and help them? So he's going to do that, as well as he's going to offer some short educational opportunities for faculty and staff on Laurier campus to learn about the culture and religious traditions of the Muslim community as it relates to students in class. Sometimes there's difficulties because there's misinformation or there's not enough information. And so we're going to begin to just offer an hour opportunity for faculty and staff to come and ask questions and learn a little bit about what's it like to be a Muslim student. Let me say a little bit, to go on to the next slide, David. Our emphases at the Glebe Center, again, we've been quite intentional to try not and replicate services in KW. There are enough gaps that there haven't really been that many difficulties, actually. We will be offering individual, family, and couple counseling, and for those of you who know of other resources in the community, that may seem like a replication. However, there are waiting lists at all our counseling agencies in town, and often they can be long. So hopefully we can help provide some more opportunities for counseling for people in our region. Also, for the other counseling agencies in town, they offer only short-term counseling, which is beneficial for many issues, but in particular for issues of trauma, a short-term approach is not enough. So we hope to be able to offer a longer-term approach to counseling and therapy for those clients who need it, and that will be assessed carefully. And again, we will be working through the lens of diversity and multi-faith and finding ways to work that are culturally and religiously appropriate with clients, which again, we hear from people who have accessed services elsewhere that it's hard to get. And I think as a counseling center that's based in a religious organization, we know about making meaning from a faith perspective. And so I think our students and our staff are well situated to help people from other faiths as well as a Christian faith to make meaning in their life in response to the variety of challenges that they're facing. Again, we'll be working with children and youth, as I've said. I've talked a little bit about the diversity aspect of it, particularly with relationship to children, whether a child is developmentally delayed, has cognitive issues, is ADHD, or other areas of diversity. We will want to be attending to that and are developing a network of professionals that can help us in the assessment of children and youth who may need some particular therapeutic responses. There will be groups, as I've said, for a few, and we will be responding to the community's need for groups and other people's ideas. Play therapy is a very important part of the Glebe Center, and Nancy normally talks about play as being the voice of the child. Kids don't sit and talk in a room very well, but they play their way through their world. They play what they're feeling. They play what they're thinking. And play could be art, could be sand, could be puppets, could be drawing, could be a puppet theater, could be a game. Could be lots of ways that play provides a voice for the child, and for certified play therapists to be available to work with those children, or to have our students under supervision of a certified play therapist will be very important. I also see the role of the Glebe Center as developing more skilled and competent play therapists as being very important. Services to children and youth, no matter what center you're in, whether it's Kitchener, Waterloo, or Toronto, are always underserviced. There are never enough mental health services for children and youth. So I think it's a very important service that the Glebe Center is going to provide, that we will educate more. We will prepare for certification, more therapists as certified play therapists. So I think that's a real important contribution to our community that the Glebe Center will offer. The whole area of teachings and supervision, teaching as in courses that the seminary offers, teaching in terms of continuing ed. There are 4 diplomas within the counseling department right now that are being developed to go through the university to be offered starting in September 2014. These will be continuing education opportunities for people who have graduated with a counseling degree, maybe from us or other schools, for them to come back and develop their skills further. So continuing education is also an important commitment. We're in the process of developing a 2-day conference in the beginning of May on creativity and therapy, and have a woman coming from BC to be the keynote, and we'll be offering workshops in art therapy, music therapy, play therapy, etc. Again, to enhance the skills and to inform our professional community. So many ways we'll be looking for continuing ed, and in fact even the Bridging East and West workshop in a way is continuing education as well. The last emphasis is research. Because we're situated in a university, we have a unique opportunity to do research. Many clinicians would like to do research, but it's very difficult when you're out there on your own. You don't have an ethics review board, you don't have anybody to help you. So we're going to be looking right from the beginning to do research and research collaboratively with other community partners on this whole orientation to multi-faith, multicultural approaches to counseling. And the research will be twofold. It'll be research that will contribute to the academy so that our voice is heard and seen within that world. There's very little research in the area of multi-faith, multicultural counseling done in the Canadian context. You can find things about Britain, some in the United States, some in other areas of the world, but there isn't a lot in Canada. And I think it's important that our voice is in the mix there. And then I also think it's very important that whatever we learn at the Glebe Center, we find ways to share with other people in the community who are doing similar work, so that we can all grow in our work in this area and hopefully continue to provide better and better help and support to the vulnerable people in our community. So the research will be twofold. One focus to the academy, but one focus to the community as well. And again, the research may come out in-service opportunities, it might come out in a resource book, newsletters. We'll see what's the most logical way for that to occur. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a picture of our play therapy room. Our play therapy room has, on the floor you'll see there's a little rug that has roads that you can run cars and trucks all over. You can see in front of you there's a dollhouse where kids can be showing us how their family operates. We have little people that are Caucasian, are black, are Asian. We have 2 sets of some, so if children have 2 mummies or 2 daddies, they have the ability to express that. There's a kitchen, there's bedroom, there's living room furniture. It's really a very cute thing, and the inside walls move, so the child can construct the house as they would like to construct it, as it makes meaning for them. In the other picture, you can see there's an easel, so kids can paint. There's tempera paints. The little thing on the left is a puppet theater, so they can act out. And what isn't there yet, but will be there soon, is a sand tray. So a sand tray is a very specific form of play therapy with children, and we're soon to have a sand tray there as well. And again, Nancy has been guiding the development of the play therapy room. Tomorrow at noon, I meet with an art therapist, and she will help us. We've done some things in the development of an art therapy room, but none of us are art therapists. So it felt important to have an art therapist come and say, yeah, that's really good, this is missing, or no, you don't really need that. And again, just to give us some guidance with that. So there will be a dedicated art therapy room and a dedicated play therapy room. And if those rooms aren't in use for those purposes, they can also simply be used as a therapy room. And you want to go to the next slide, David? And group therapy. So I just took a picture of the group therapy room yesterday when we were having a staff meeting, so you can have a look at all these nice smiling faces in the group therapy room. Okay, go ahead. So a big thank you to you for listening to me. I think you've heard a couple of times that the official opening of the Glebe Centre happens October 4th at 11 at Keffer Chapel. You would be most welcome to join us for that joyous event, and then there will be tours of the house. The house has undergone significant renovation. We've put on an accessible ramp on the side because, again, we want to be able to accommodate people in walkers or wheelchairs, or who may have just simple difficulty managing the stairs. We have an accessible therapy room on the first floor, so they don't need to go up the stairs. If you've been in an older home in Waterloo, you know those stairs can be steep, and the stairs are steep in that home. So we wanted to have an accessible therapy room on the first floor, and we also have an accessible washroom on the first floor. So the hope is that we can be a welcoming and hospitable place for all the people who live within our region. So I want to say thank you. I want you to invite you to pray for us. This is still a new venture. We're like a butterfly whose wings have come out and aren't quite dry yet. We're beginning to almost launch and fly as we had our first group last week. But I'm sure there are challenges ahead, as well as there will be many ways to celebrate. So please pray for us. Take the brochure that was given to you. I have extras if you would like to take more. Distribute them to others who you think might benefit or who would like to know about our services. If people are interested in, they simply need to call. You don't need a referral from anybody else. The website is there, so you can keep track of what we're up to, the groups that we're offering, we would welcome your support in any way. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to updating you in the future about the life of the Glebe Centre.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Lund for being our guest speaker at our 100-year celebration. The Delta Glebe Centre does mean something to me because Delta was my very first pastor when I was just a wee little girl. And I know this centre will benefit many couples and families in our community by offering counseling and the preventative mental health services. It's fitting to honor Delton in this way, to recognize his vision, his commitment to learning by doing, and his service to this community. Please accept this gift from the auxiliary for our sincere appreciation for your continual support of our